going on, y'all? We're live. Um, Sorry about the delay. We're having some technical difficulties getting some stuff set up. Do need to do a quick audio test to make sure everything is on the up and up because my audio has been cutting in and out recently. All right, looks like we're golden. So this is the Unstuck Sessions Part 2 called Don't Let Victory Defeat You. If you're a nerd like I am, you know where that line comes from. If not, you need to check out some Batman movies. Basically, the concept of what we're doing today is we're talking about how success in business can derail plans and derail what you're supposed to be going through in terms of your growth as a business owner. And some of the pitfalls, and the biggest pitfall I see is looks like I kicked myself off. What we're going to do is I'm going to roll the banner, roll the credits, and then we're going to get into this. So get to you after that. All right, Unstuck Sessions. My name is Brian. I am a marketing consultant. My wife and I own a business called I Sell Words. Basically, what we do is we help small businesses get themselves unstuck from where they currently are. We're a full stack marketing agency, but we're really leaning back into our consulting piece. And so we created a consulting package called the Unstuck Sessions. And so these live streams are just more or less me talking about how one gets themselves unstuck in business. And so one of the big sticking points I see, especially for a business owner that's experienced some early success, is you get stuck coming up with a lot of different ideas that you want to roll out and test. And that's one of the things where I say, don't let victory defeat you, because that's the real, bro. I mean, a lot of times business owners will have some success in one area and instantly decide, okay, I had some success in this area. Instead of going back into that area that they had success in, the thing that they do is they create a new venture or they expand their product line and everything, instead of drilling back down into the area they were successful and completely blowing it out of the water and mastering it. And so that's where I say, don't let victory defeat you. The focus is the biggest thing. It's the boring stuff that makes you money. So we're going to talk about that for a while. And then we're also I'm going to open it up for questions. I'm always open for business questions, but we're going to open it up for some questions about business topics or areas that you're stuck in, and I'll try to answer them on the live stream. If I can't, then we'll probably have to schedule a time, or we can answer them on the podcast. However you want to put it, however you want to do it. But hit us up with a question if you're interested. We are about to close our beta testing for the Unstuck session. So if you received the link and you have not signed up yet, you need to do it today so that we can get our beta test group in, because we're looking at launching the service starting next week officially. We're still going to be doing beta tests along the way, but we're going to feel a little bit more comfortable launching the service next week. And so if you haven't signed up yet, it's probably a good time to do so. Now, don't let victory defeat you. So let's say that you've had a fantastic launch on a business idea. You've had success. You're in your first year. You've had a lot of success, made more money than you thought you should be making. And that's a real thing in business owners. And imposter syndrome is real, where you can't believe how well you've done. It ends up becoming a thing that does limit you, but 'tis what it is. You end up having that early success. And in that early success, you're like, you know what? I think I want to do X, Y, and Z, or A, B, and C next, and try my hand at that. And then you try your hand at X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C, and it's not as successful, but you still have some success on it. Now you're kind of in this role where you're constantly trying new things and you're having some middling success with it, but you keep trying the new stuff. And eventually you get to the point where you have all these other plates in the air, all these different things that you're working on, all these different areas of focus that your attention is going into, that you end up losing sight of your core business model, and the wheels are starting to fall off because you didn't take the time after you experience that initial success to really drill down and start optimizing that core business model. You added too many bells and whistles to it. Now you have this big, huge, monstrous machine running, and it's running in four different directions, and it's consuming everything it runs into, and it's neither efficient or productive. Those are the two issues that you run into, where you've created this monster that's not efficient or productive. One of the biggest things, and I say business owners are creative people. A lot of business owners don't see themselves as creative. I beg to differ. If you created a business, you do have a level of creativity in your brain. One of the biggest drugs for creative people is novelty, newness, new things, new vistas, new challenges, new adventures, new things to conquer. For business owners, that can be a really super addictive drug. You end up trying new things that you are really not equipped to do. And the thing that you started out with, you're like, well, that's fine, that's running and everything, but really isn't. Have you taken the time to optimize it? Because you didn't take the time to optimize it because optimizing it is boring and is old. Who wants the old thing? We got the new thing over here that we're starting. And that's the trap business owners fall into. That's the trap creative people fall into a lot too. You find it in creative spaces, videographers, photographers, artists of other stripes, designers, and things like that, constantly seeking out novelty, constantly trying to find the new thing to get into. Just because, for us, boredom is painful. And unfortunately, optimizing a business to run really well and something that you can replicate is not exactly the most exciting thing in the world, especially if you already figured out, okay, this is the business I created, this service or product I'm delivering, and this is how I make money off of it. Now what? Well, is it fun to go back and say, okay, what part of the process can I trim? What part of the process can I make a little bit longer? What part of the process do I need to feed a little bit more energy into to develop to make it move faster? That stuff ain't fun. And so you end up getting caught in the novelty trap. And that's one of the things. Or the other side is you started this business, you started this nonprofit, you've had tremendous success doing it. New opportunities start walking in the door. And those opportunities look so good, you just can't turn them away. And you start jumping at every single opportunity that comes in the door. Everyone. Now, you go back to your core philosophy, your core business, your core audience, your core existence, the reason your nonprofit exists. And that stuff is boring. It's not as fun anymore as the new opportunities are over here. The new opportunities look good. They got the new car smell on them. They really are things that you really want to sink your teeth into. That's where you end up getting caught up because you haven't optimized your core delivery. You haven't gone back and sat down and doing the boring work of figuring out, how do I deliver this thing more efficiently? Is it something in the product? Is it something in delivery? Do I have to work on stuff on the back end? Are there tweaks I can make to the website? Do I need to change my marketing strategy? All these boring things with the same thing. But that's where businesses grow or die, is getting really, really good at delivering their core offering. And that is hard for a lot of young business owners, to be honest with you, because you invest so much mental energy into building the thing or building the nonprofit. You've invested so much mental energy into it. It feels like you've spent decades on it. In some cases, it is a decades-long journey to get to that result of actually having this entity that's out there that you've created, and it's out there and it's self-sufficient and it's doing its own thing. But realistically, your business has existed for a year or 2 years. So it's been in your brain a lot longer than it's been in reality. And that's where people get caught up. And so this is the thing, and this is what bore this is the experience that I ran into that created the Unstuck Sessions. When I started I Sell Words, I was a copywriter. I wanted to write ads for people. And I had a little bit of success writing ads. And then I got asked to write other things. And so I started writing other things and I had a little bit of success there. And then I realized, I'd rather teach people about marketing. And so we started up the consulting piece of it and had a little bit of success. But then the consulting piece wasn't that exciting. um, I started getting back into the done for you services. And the problem with the done for you services is it's hard to scale. It's just me and Brandy running this thing right now. That's very difficult to scale, especially since I kind of Brandy handles a lot of the going out and shaking hands and introducing and meeting people, and she helps me brainstorm ideas and stuff like that, and then she helps me implement stuff. It's not the most exciting thing in the world to just go out and meet people and solve their problems, or at least I thought it wasn't. And we started doing the done for you services, but there's only two of us. And so there's a cap on how much work we can get done as a marketing agency. Even when you hire people, you still can only scale to the amount of people that you have working with you. I wanted to get back into the consulting thing. I like consulting people. I like coaching people through their marketing issues. And the problem with a lot of consulting is it goes all over the place. You got 1,000 different issues. Most businesses have multiple issues that they need to address. And there isn't really any focus on any one issue, one sticking point, one gear that you need to unstick that makes all the other gears rotate. And so the Unstuck Sessions are really about that. Laser focusing one topic at a time. Moving that topic out of the way, moving on to the next one. That's where we needed to go. I personally needed to focus our business. We're doing too many things. We have so many different talents. I can build websites. I can do video. I can do audio. We've done graphic design, you know, flyer design, all kinds of other things. I built e-commerce sites, gotten into the printing business, all kinds of other things that we know how to do. But we had to laser focus and bring I Sell Words back down to a consulting business, because that's where our strongest strength is coaching people and helping people get better at implementing their business and chasing their dreams a little bit more efficiently, And so that's what the Unstuck Sessions are. It started out with me figuring out how I was going to get I Sell Words unstuck. And so now it's tying back to the core model that I was most comfortable with, which was consulting, and figuring out a way to make it, optimizing it and optimizing the delivery of it to make it something that's new and novel every single time. I can have my side things. I can have my Black Nerd stuff, my Black Nerd website and Black Nerd podcast and things along those lines. That stuff is fun for me. But I want to keep that as a side thing and not the primary thing. Right now, we're podcasting and we're consulting, and that's really where I want to focus my energies on. Here's the challenge for the business owner, and I want you to start thinking in terms of some of the biggest businesses out there, and start thinking about who their core audience is and what service they provide, and how they really streamline their processes. If you go to a place like McDonald's, it's super streamlined. They have all this stuff on their menu, but their core offering is a burger and fries. That's what they got really good at delivering. Now, who is their core audience? People looking for hot food. That's what it is. And I'm repeating myself a little bit, but their core audience is people looking for hot food. And that doesn't seem like a narrow category, but really, when you think about all the people that are out there, not everybody's hungry. Not everybody has money in their pocket. Not everybody's near McDonald's. Some people would rather go home and eat. So they're targeting a very specific group of people, and they're saying, we have hot food now. Come get it. That's their core audience. And they got really good at delivering burgers. They got so good at it that they're like, okay, I think we've mastered every aspect of the burger thing. We franchised out. We have all these franchises under our banner. We teach them the exact process of doing this. So now let's start adding other products to it. And so then they start growing out their product line. But they have one core offering that they excel at delivering. A lot of business owners can't say that. Sometimes you really don't have the option. Sometimes your product line, your core offer, have to have other offers tied to it because those offers they complement. And so you have to do more than one thing at a time. But really having a core offer in mind is where a lot of businesses, and I'm throwing nonprofits in, I include nonprofits as businesses just because there's a lot of function and form that's the same and a lot of outcomes that are similar. And a lot of strategies that are similar. You end up losing sight of what your core service is and what your core service offering is, and you start chasing all the new stuff out there. All right. So how do we address that? How do we address that? Because I've talked about the problem ad nauseum. How do we address that? The first step is finding out who you're serving, who your target audience is, who pays you the most money. And that's typically, if you're an established business owner, that's where you want to go. Who pays you the most? What group, what subgroup, what product, what service are people most requesting? Start there. How do I make this a better experience for the client? How do I make this a better experience for the customer? How do I make this how do I set it up so it costs me less in effort and money to produce? And we start there and really start drilling down on that core offering. I sell words. I can build websites. I'm not going to. I have a very select group of people that I've done it for in the past, and I have the capacity to, but there are very unique situations, circumstances. That's not something that we're offering widely. I have a partner, I have a buddy that does that stuff professionally, and so if we are going to go with the website design, I refer you out to him because that's what he does. He designs websites and does graphic design, and that's where his core competency is, and that's where he's most happy. So I'm glad to pass business to him. And your needs will probably get met better because if I'm designing the website, there's a good chance that unless you know who you are, unless I've sat down and talked to you about it, I typically don't want to design your website. That's kind of how it goes. I want to teach you the principles that help you build an effective website to attract the clients you want. I had to draw that line in the sand because I am addicted to saying yes sometimes to people. I'm addicted to helping people out regardless of what their problems are. And I had to set a firm boundary with myself as a business owner saying, yeah, I know how to do that, but that's not what I want to do. And that's not what I'm most effective doing. I think you would be better served going over here, going over to this person. For a lot of business owners, that's a trap that's really super easy to fall into, where you constantly are taking things that are outside of your business or taking on service projects that aren't exactly what you want, or you're doing one-off free things just for, because you need something new or novel in your life, and you end up putting yourself underwater. Or another one is biting off more than you can chew because you've taken on, there's too many opportunities and you can't turn down any opportunity that looks great. And so you agree to it. You see this as a fantastic opportunity without fully considering the resources and time and energy that goes into it. So by having a good idea of who you're serving and staying true to that that's probably the most effective way to keep your business disciplined and stay on focus. And it's tough once you've had some success. I'm gonna be really blunt with you. If you experience some success and new opportunities start popping up that you've never experienced nor even thought about before, it's really tempting to jump on that new thing and give it a shot. But I challenge you, take a step back and see if this aligns with what the core of your business is, or the core, or is this the reason why your nonprofit exists? How does this opportunity align with what your core audience wants and what they need from you? and you weigh it out, and you weigh out how much in terms of times and resources. And this is going to reduce your time on focusing on that core offering. Don't let the victory and success defeat you. All right, so we're up here. We're on the Unstuck Sessions. Any questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I may not be able to see exactly who you are depending on where you're posting from, but I'm open to taking questions. If I can't answer them here, I'll try to answer them on the podcast. If it gets too deep, I may have to probably have you sign up for a consultation session. But if you got any questions about being stuck in your business or how to get unstuck, if there's a sticking point that you have very clear in your mind, drop me a line and we could probably give you a few bullet points for you to start looking at to get yourself unstuck. The deeper part of it is we have a full discovery session where we sit down and discover what your potential sticking points are, assess them, and then schedule a unstuck meeting to address those sticking points in that meeting. And then there's going to be, did we say 2 subsequent meetings? I think 2 subsequent meetings to kind of check in to see how your implementation's going or see how your understanding is going. And then the final meeting is to see how your implementation is coming along. So that is the Unstuck Sessions. That's the consulting package that we're offering. Like I said, we're closing out the beta tonight. We've had plenty of the response has been amazing, but a lot of people that want to jump into the beta client pool. And so we're actually going to be starting those out here pretty soon. Those are not of charge, but we're collecting data on those and recording some video so that we have video and we can kind of show you what the process would look like on our end. So it's a massive undertaking, but we're also going to be taking real life clients starting next week. So it's going to be a good time. Marketing questions. What I did last week with marketing questions was I just Googled 10 marketing questions from small business owners. And I think I'm gonna probably do the same thing this week. And just to show you how well, and it's kind of a challenge for myself to see how well I can answer questions on the fly. So 10 marketing questions. And if you have your own questions, go ahead and slide them in to the chat. Small business owners. So I'm gonna randomly pick. I'm gonna go. This one comes from Indeed.com. That's where I'm sourcing it. I'm gonna see how well how much I like these questions. And these they normally will print the answers, so I'm gonna try to read them without reading the answers here. My target market. These Indeed questions are kind of weak, but we'll start here. So right now, from Indeed.com, we're going to skip over the first question because I just talked about target market and the importance of that and who is your target market. That question is going to vary between businesses. Your target market can vary from product to product, service to service, business to business, and sometimes from year to year, or what time of year it is. It really depends on what your business is and what you produce. That's how you determine your target market. There's so many different factors that factor into establishing who a target market is. That's a highly individualized question for a business owner to answer. But before you start a product or service, you need to know exactly who you are serving. That's the most important thing. You need to know who you're serving. So the target market is your most basic thing that you need to figure out before you even start a business or product or a nonprofit. How can I reach my target market? That's an interesting question. So how do you better reach your target market? This comes from doing the full marketing avatar, the full client avatar process that we have at I Sell Words. What that would do is we would basically figure out who your target audience is and where they reside. Some of your target audience might be Facebook users. Some of them may be Instagram users. Others may be on the Twitter machine. Some may be on TikTok. It depends on age. There's a lot of demographic factors that play into it, but the reality is the way you reach them is being where they are. Or if your target audience are business owners, do you have a group on Facebook that's for business owners? That's a good place to start. If your target audience is fitness moms, moms that want to get back into shape, you probably should have a Facebook group or somewhere for fitness moms to meet and talk about topics related to fitness for moms. That's a good place. You can create one of those spaces on Facebook for free. And now you have your target audience in one place. It's not a difficult extension to offer a product or service directly to them. All right. How do I convince customers to buy my product or service? How do you convince people to buy your product or service? If you are providing a product or service that somebody needs, there's not a lot of convincing. If it makes sense for them, and of course there's salesmanship. I'm not discounting selling. Selling is a very important skill. And to be quite honest with you, if you can sell, you'll never go hungry a day in your life, because you're always going to find somebody that needs salespeople. So I'm not discounting the craft or the art of selling. What I am saying is this: if your product or service aligns with a specific need and you've really taken the time to think about who your target audience is, it's a matter of putting the message in front of them and telling them what to do next to get the thing that's going to meet their needs. If you've really taken that time to drill down and make a product, service, or offering that addresses a specific need or pain point for a customer, the convincing piece isn't that hard. If you got to convince them too hard, they probably weren't the ideal client for you anyway. Because they're looking for something that you're quite not offering. Maybe they're looking for something similar to what you're offering, but they want a cheaper price point. You have to weigh it out. Is it worth giving them the discount to get the business? Are you losing money on the deal? Those are things that you have to consider. But if you've really aligned your product and service with a need, the convincing piece is the least difficult part of it. You should have an entire system that educates the client about what your product is, educates them about what problems they solve, and then put a call to action underneath so they can take the next step, solve their own problem with your product or service. Who are my competitors? Well, figuring out who your competitors are is important, but it's also not important, because a lot of times people want to compete in the middle. So when they come up with the product or service, the thing they do is they figure out what everybody else is charging, and then they set their price point to match that. Sometimes a little bit higher, sometimes a little bit lower than what the average is. If you are trying to grow a business, you need to be the premium spot. You need to operate in a premium slot, which means that your product exceeds the value of everybody else and it costs more in exchange. Be a premium product or don't exist in a lot of cases. Because if you're trying to compete with everybody, when you're competing on price, and competing on price is a race to the bottom. Also, features, bells and whistles, and all that other stuff, competing on features, that is a slippery slope too. The idea is you want to create a product that directly addresses a need or a pain point for a client. And that's how you roll. So don't worry too much looking into competitors. If you're really good at what you're offering, you don't even really need to worry about what your competitors are doing, because your clients are your clients and they're not going to leave you, even if your competitors sneak in and try to steal them away from you. Now, if your clients are that eager to leave you, then they probably weren't the best clients for you, because they're going to be nickel and diming you. How do I make my business more visible online? This one, there's a multi-segment answer. What's your online presence to start out with? The quick and dirty path is, and I need you to understand this, the biggest search engine on the planet is Google. That's number one. The number two biggest search engine on the planet is YouTube. Google owns YouTube. YouTube costs you no money to get started. Most people, a lot of YouTubers now have a smartphone that's capable of putting on high quality YouTube videos. So if you're not on YouTube educating people about your product or service or establishing your thought leadership in the area, you're missing a big opportunity that doesn't really cost you anything but an investment of time. Those links those links tie, you post the YouTube content on a website or a social media post. If you put them on your website, it links YouTube to your website and you get the reputation of YouTube going to your website. And that improves, from SEO standpoint, that improves the the way that the website ranks your website. So if you want to improve your reach, the cheap and easy way is to start creating content. I mean, it sounds trite, but realistically, YouTube doesn't cost anything to produce on. Now, it may cost money, for the service packages or whatnot, or to get an ad-free version. But right now, YouTube is a great bet to increase visibility online. Now, on your website, if you already have a website, having content that you've created is a great way to increase your visibility, because if you have a blog post or something that you've written or a video that you've done that lives on your website, you can copy the link, post it on your social media, and now you have kind of built a link between your website and your social media site, and people can go back and forth between the two, and that increases your visibility. But in order to increase your visibility online, take advantage of the free services out there to really start educating people about your brand and what you know. All right, I'm moving on to another uh, top 10 questions small business owners ask. This is from Barry Motts. Uh, let's see. How do I keep finding new customers? You refine your processes and you continue pouring effort into growing your footprint and growing, making yourself a little bit more visible online by using free services like YouTube, social media, and the like, to really establish what you know, so people learn how to trust you. Because when they know that they're going to get good information from you without exactly having to ask behind it, if they know that they're going to get good information from you, it makes it a lot easier for them to take recommendations of your products or services. If they know that you're not just out trying to get money from them, you're actually trying to provide value to them. A lot of times business owners get too caught up in the asking piece and they don't give enough. Give your clients good information up front, and the ones that are worth it will reciprocate for you. How do I keep customers I have? This is the importance of how to keep customers I have. That's the importance of having your follow-up systems. Um, Making sure that you're constantly in contact with your clients, keeping them appraised, updated. A newsletter is a way that is a low-cost way that I've leveraged a lot of extra sales for businesses. Writing a newsletter for them, talking about what's going on with the business, talking about new product line, service offerings, a little bit about the owners, and maybe something that gives some stickiness to the newsletter. We like using recipes at ISO Words. Um, in newsletters for our clients. So when we write newsletters for our clients, we like to slide in little recipes and things along those lines. And it depends on what the client wants. But for one client, recipes have worked really, really well. It gives the newsletter a little bit of stickiness because people have to refer back to the newsletter for the rest to access the recipe, and they have to go through all your service offerings and stuff like that. But making sure that you're checking in with your clients, you're constantly contacting with them. That's a good way to retain them. And, even, some businesses I've seen, they have contests and stuff for their best customers. And those are all great, fantastic client retention tools. How much money do I need to spend on marketing? That is super individualized. It depends on what your business are and what your outcomes are, what you want from your business. Spending, you do need to have a marketing budget for your business once you get cash flow. It's important because the marketing is an amplifier. That's the thing that's going to allow you to grow your business. Marketing is the art of finding a market for your business. Finding clients is really the art of finding clients that are willing to buy your products or services. And so if you're not doing marketing and you're not really investing time or energy into your marketing, you're not going to see the returns. And when I say investing time and energy into your marketing, even if you hire a consulting agency like myself or somebody else, you as the business owner still need to be invested mentally, and sometimes physically in your own marketing, because if you set it up the right way, people are buying from you. They like you and they want to support you. And if your business loses its voice, its sense of who it is, clients will disconnect from you and go to another option. So you really need to make sure that you are invested and involved in the marketing for your business. That's the real. So that's how that's how and it's really an open-ended question, because it's going to depend on what your cash flow is, what your cash situation is like, and what marketing vehicles and platforms you have out there for yourself. Because some do require money. Facebook ads, Google ads aren't cheap. They're not free either, but they can offer a lot of bang for the buck if you have a good targeted audience that you're trying to reach. And so you really need to sit down and figure out how much can you afford to spend on your marketing and figure that out. And an unstuck session with myself or Brandy, that's a good way to do it, because we can start figuring out what you currently have in there and what you could set aside for marketing. I have leveraged $100 and gotten $1,000 from it, $1,000 return, but it took a lot of time to get that. And so sometimes you sacrifice your time for effectiveness. Sometimes you sacrifice money for speed. All right, I've jumped off of that and I'm looking at 10 common social media questions from small business owners. All right, what blog platform do you recommend? I don't recommend anything. I recommend whatever's on your website. I recommend the blog feature that's on your website. A lot of people, the one that they're recommending in this article is WordPress. I wouldn't be surprised if WordPress has some kind of arrangement with them. WordPress is a great service. I've used it to build websites. A lot of the websites are built upon WordPress, but I'm not willing to just throw down my gauntlet and say this is the blog platform that you have to use. Blogging is a fantastic way to make your website relevant. It's also a great way to share your knowledge with your clients. And a lot of multimillionaire fortunes have been made just by people blogging their experiences. Blogging is an online log. It's a digital log of what your experiences are. I'm not going into the Pinterest question because I don't have a good sense of Pinterest. Is there any way to capture my customers' email via Facebook and Twitter? That one's hard. I would say the way I've used Facebook to capture client emails is creating what's called a landing page, and using that link and putting it on Facebook and having them go through that. Um, I've never pulled anybody's email straight off of Facebook, nor do I think it allows you to. But I've used a landing page. I include an offer, a free downloadable that gives people some good information in exchange for their email address, and then let them know that the email address will be used to market materials to them from a mailing list. I mean, that's the way I've seen it work. There's plenty of landing page platforms out there. The one I've been using is Constant Contact, but there's plenty of them out there. But a landing page, for those that are unaware, a landing page is a single-use website. And sometimes that website exists to sell a product. Sometimes it exists to just capture somebody's contact information so that they can be reached for further marketing. And so using the landing page format, you post a link, you put a little bit of a message about what the landing page has and what somebody can get from it. So maybe it's a free downloadable ebook or a free downloadable flyer or a video that tells them how to do something or solve a problem quickly, and it just needs their contact information. And that's where you move through. So that's how I would do it. 10 most common marketing questions. I'm kind of going through these as I'm seeing them. What is the best channel for generating quality leads? Ooh, that one's in the weeds. That one's tough. What channel are you on? The best platform to generate leads is the channel you're present on. Don't start. Don't if you don't have if you don't have an Instagram presence and you're all on Facebook, which I mean, one owns the other one. But if most of your stuff's on Facebook, starting an Instagram channel just to try to get new leads, it's going to take a while because you have to build the social capital. Whereas on Facebook, if you already have a business page on Facebook that has a really good amount of traffic, it's not that hard to get leads through that. The thing that we call the thing that people use is what's called a lead magnet. And I just mentioned what that is. It's a piece of content that gives people good information that solves a problem right out the gate in exchange for their email address. And that way you can contact them with further offerings, coupons, newsletters, and the like. So that's kind of how I would generate leads right now. My systems aren't too complicated. Some people, for some multi-billion-dollar companies, they spend a lot on the lead capture process, and there's multiple steps in it, and they have different ways to filter it out and add layers of complexity to it. For me, I like the minimum layer of complexity. And right now that is utilizing social media platforms and getting people to reach out to us for consultations that way. But really the best channel for generating leads is whatever you're present on and the one that you have the most working knowledge with to start with. You can always learn new platforms and the rules of new platforms moving forward, but start where you're at. How do I improve the performance of my campaigns? The biggest secret is to improve the performance of your campaigns. You need to know who you're selling to. Having a good idea of the demographics, social economic status, keywords that your clients are interested in, and things along those lines. That is the number one best way to improve the quality of in performance of your campaigns. Having a targeted campaign that speaks to a specific price point to a specific group of people will improve your performance by leaps and bounds. When you have an untargeted ad, what happens is you get people that aren't really interested in what you're offering. And on Facebook, for some reason, people like to leave weird comments when they get an ad that they're not interested in. Maybe it might be weird or sarcastic. It could be mean-spirited. But you need to spend a lot of time figuring out the specific who that those ads are going to be shown to, and take your time with it, because people will just blast out ads. And Facebook and YouTube, they don't mind you spending a ton of money just to blast out ads to people. Matter of fact, it makes them more money if you don't have a targeted ad set up. Just letting y'all know, I'm still taking questions. I'm just going through 10 marketing questions that people have. There are other aspects of it that are more granular in terms of A and B testing, where you're comparing two different, like if you have two different landing pages, you're testing two variations of landing pages to see which ones get the better response. Sometimes it's down to a color of a button. Sometimes a color of a button on a website is enough to encourage people to click on it or not click on it. Advanced analytics, if you're doing it at scale, if you got, couple of thousand people that you've reaching out to with your clients, you have enough of a sample size to make good decisions based on analytics. Do I really need a blog? You need a web presence. You need to be somewhere online talking about what you do and showing people that you're the expert. You don't have to have a specific blog, but having a place online where you discuss what you do is a powerful tool that not enough business owners are utilizing. It doesn't cost any money to have a social media account for your business where you talk about your business and you talk about problems, common issues that your clients are facing, and how you help alleviate those, and giving your expert opinion. Experts are the ones people pay. People pay experts for their expertise. People don't pay novices for their expertise. There's a difference. If you establish your expertise online, it's easier to get people to want to do business with you. All right. So you need a social media presence. It may not be a blog. It may be a vlog, a video log, but you got to have somewhere where you talk about what you know and maybe even tell your story as a business owner and tell the story behind your business. Should I post on social media? Yes. Should you post everything on social media? No. I've seen business owners that get too far into the weeds and post too much personal information on social media. They'll post too many controversial opinions or weigh in and write think pieces on stuff. And sometimes it even goes down to commenting as their business on a social media post, on a viral social media post. That's a quick and fast way to get yourself into a lot of pain. So yes, you need to post on social media. Be cognizant of what you're posting on social media, because at the end of the day, your clients are going to be the ultimate arbitrator. They're going to be the ultimate judge of whether they're going to do business or not with you. And I know for a fact personally that sometimes the social media post is enough for me not to do business with somebody. Especially with a lot of the social stuff going around and a lot of social issues that are coming to the forefront in the media, and everybody has their ingrained opinion. I have my ingrained opinion on stuff. From a business standpoint, where you stand determines on where I spend my dollars. Sometimes my goals and values align with yours, and they may be controversial, but I may spend my dollars in support of those goals and values. They may be controversial to another audience, but what you're putting out there speaks right to me. Other times, I'm instantly disconnected and turned off by what you're putting out there, or some of the people you choose to associate with, or some of the causes you choose to champion. I can get into detail about it, but there are specific places here that I will never set foot in because I know who runs it, because I've seen the stuff that they post and the socials and the circles they run in, and I will never do business with them. So you need to be careful. Yes, you should post on social media, but be very cognizant, because I used to tell, when I was in the world of residential treatment for kids, I used to tell people and tell kids and even tell my staff, don't post anything on social media that you're not comfortable scrolling on a bathroom wall at a rest stop and putting a picture of your face next to. Be very careful. How do I get more traffic to my website? You can utilize social media to do so. Post links from your website. The way I would advise people to set up their website, and Les and I are going to talk about this later on this week. And so I don't know if we're going to do a live stream or if we're just going to do a traditional podcast, but we're going to discuss it this week. How do you get more traffic? The way I set up websites and the way I encourage business owners to set up websites is set your website up like a series of landing pages. Each product has its own page with its own explanation and a contact or book now attached to it. So if you have multiple products, each product is going to have its own page on your website, so that when it's time to share it on social media, you can just copy that link and direct them right to the page where the product resides. What happens too frequently is business owners, specifically those websites, what they do is they post a link to their website and tell people to go check out their website. And that's like literally dropping you in the middle of a mall with no list and no idea of where you're supposed to go. Confused customers don't buy, they just wander off. If you have a specific product or service that you need to drive business to, I would have a page on my website dedicated to that, and then I would take the address directly to that page, post it on social media, and that's how you drive more traffic specifically to your website. But you need to post stuff directly that people are going to want to interact with. So specifically, let's say that you run a photography studio and you have a corporate headshot package. Instead of dropping people on the front page of your photography website, you need to drop them on the page that is specifically for corporate headshots. That's going to do more to drive traffic to your business than anything else. Be very specific about what page you're driving them to, because there's no point in driving somebody to the front page of your website unless you just want them to look and say, "Oh, it's a nice website," and then they'll click off. Make sure you put them where you want them to be. You're giving them direct ad. Here's the thing: it's the difference between telling somebody what neighborhood you live in and telling somebody what your address is. They can find your house both ways, but one is a more direct path. All right. Like I said, if you guys have any questions or anything, drop them in the chat or shoot me an email if you wanted to answer it on the podcast. But make sure you include your name so I can make sure that I attribute it the right way. All right. Still with the marketing questions. How do I transform more leads into customers? That is another multi-layer question, but it's a good one. You need to figure out what your processes are and really, really sit down and think about what your client journey is. So when you get a lead, what's the first thing you do? Do you call to follow up on that lead? Do you have any kind of way to assess their specific needs? Do you have a consulting service where you're kind of consulting with them and then you diagnose a problem and then you provide the service package? Like, what do you do once the lead comes in? What's your follow-up with that lead? What's the next step? Somebody reaches out, they're interested in your business or services. How do you reach them? What's the next step? What do you do? If you refine that process and you really take time to think about what that process is, you're going to start seeing a spike in your conversion. But if a lead comes in and they're kind of interested, but you have no follow-up with them, they'll never grow. So you need to sit down and think about what your follow-up systems are once the lead walks in the door. And if you have a good idea, then the steps to convert them from a interested prospect to a client are very short. But then also along the way, if you've done a lot of the education up front, maybe social media posting, maybe stuff on a YouTube channel or on a website with a video embedded where you're kind of explaining what your process and services are, allows leads will come to you pre-educated. And when they come to you pre-educated, that shortens the pathway from converting them from a lead to a client. So think about what your process is and put a lot of energy into that piece of it, because that's the piece that if you work on that front end, it's going to be a little bit easier on the back end. Use customer feedback too. Customer feedback's usually important. If somebody said, "Hey, you guys did a great job, but when I was asking about the services, when I was asking about the services, the link to the website didn't work." Oh, you need to go back and implement that feedback and make sure the link to the website actually worked. Or there's an error on the form when I submit my digital form. You need to go and figure out what that error is. So solicit customer feedback and implement it. That's another way that you're going to help increase your leads, because you're going to improve your processes. You're going to optimize. Is content marketing effective? Absolutely. I encourage it. Content marketing is basically what I've been saying this entire time, using social media to build social proof of what your knowledge is. And putting yourself as a trusted voice, giving them good quality information, and then putting an ask somewhere along that chain. Sometimes if your content is strong enough, you don't even really need to put an ask. They will seek you out. But yes, I strongly believe in content marketing. There's too many free platforms out here to not be utilizing them to establish your voice in your space. And I don't care if you're electrician, plumber, you're selling websites, you're selling cars. You have knowledge about your specific industry, and that knowledge can benefit a client. So you need to be sharing it. Advertising costs. You decrease your advertising costs by targeting your audience. Mobile. I feel like I did this one before. Matter of fact, I think I've answered those questions before. But I want to hear from y'all. What questions do y'all have from a marketer in a box. That's kind of what I'm at right now. I'm gonna stay on for another 15 minutes. If anybody has any marketing questions, go ahead and hit me up, drop a message, shoot a line here. Um, and I can absolutely help you out with that stuff. If not, then this will just be another practice session. I know I'm a little bit late with the live stream, but we actually had clients that we had to meet with and whatnot, and so we got around to it. All right. I'm looking. I'm looking for online questions, but if you guys have questions that I can answer for you about marketing or business, I'm more than happy to. I'm a consultant in a box today. And so that's what this service is. That one doesn't help me out. Let's see. 10 marketing questions from, let me put from in there as a qualifier. From small business owners. All right, those aren't. Business owner needs to ask. Let's say common marketing questions. This is from the American Marketing Association. We talked about content marketing. Let's see. How can we make something go viral? I'll expand that question. Is virality important? I would say consistency is more important than virality. You can have, you can have massive overnight success with a video that goes viral. And yeah, some businesses have really leveraged a ton of success out of it. But chasing virality is a quick way to ruin if you're constantly chasing it. It's better to make high quality content that connects with people and have a steady group of a steady dedicated audience of clients that are coming for that information, as opposed to trying to have a viral hit every single time you create content. It's just not feasible. It's not realistic. And the whims of YouTube change too frequently. The whims of TikTok change too frequently. And you keep chasing virality, you end up stinking of insincerity, if that makes sense. Where you're more in line with creating the next viral hit as opposed to giving people good content and good information that they can actually utilize. Ooh, the difference between a marketing strategy and a tactic. Huh. That's a good one. So what's the difference between a marketing strategy and tactic? Marketing strategy is your overall plan. The marketing tactic is a tool that you use to implement that plan. So the difference, a marketing strategy is the blueprint for a house. A tactic is nailing things, putting nails and nailing things together. You need to nail things together to make a house, but the overall goal is the house. That's the difference between a strategy and a tactic. All right. I'm hopping around here. 78 marketing questions to ask and how to test them. All right. These are all over the place. And these are more for business owners, not from business owners. So that's one of the biggest challenges is a lot of stuff. There's a ton of content out there that's for business owners, but it's not exactly from business owners, if that makes sense. And so very specific questions that you need to ask of a marketer a lot of times aren't found online. Or you have people that have no real actual experience with running a business, just spitballing stuff, and you really don't want to be in that position where you've never really run your own business effectively, and now you're going to give people advice on how to run theirs. There's too much stuff on YouTube where people will go online and find a business model that they think makes money and then instantly start touting that business model as the next coming of something. And they don't really lay out the details of what it actually costs to get into that business, the day-to-day operational costs, materials, equipment needed, all that other good stuff that goes into launching a successful business or product. But they'll tell you that it's a great business model and you can make millions and millions of dollars doing it. There's plenty of people that went out and bought the software to design coloring books for adults. I'm not talking about that kind of adult coloring book. I'm talking about, coloring books that adults can kind of color in their free time and pass their time with. That market is oversaturated, but there's no shortage of people that will sell you kits and software to design them. And there's billions of them on Amazon right now. So, but then you don't have to look hard to find some YouTuber that's telling you that that's the way that people are making money. Now, if you ask them, have you made any money with it? Then they don't have any answer because, of course, they've never done it themselves. They're telling you that you need to go do it. That's never the trap you want to be in as a business owner. But I digress. So, to recap, before I log off, we got about 10 minutes here to recap. Don't let victory defeat you. Early success is a quick way to get yourself in the weeds as a business owner because with success comes opportunities, and with opportunities comes new distractions. Don't get sucked into that. If you have some success with your business, go back and really drill down into the parts that are successful and figure out how to optimize it so you can optimize it and replicate it. Because once you figure out what the process is to have a good service delivery, you can replicate it for new product lines, and that increases your speed. But don't try to don't cast too wide of a net when you're getting started because that can really screw you up moving forward. Focus. Novelty. Novelty is an addictive drug for creative people. I know because I have about 5,000 different projects I've started just out of boredom. And it can be a trap if you're a business owner where you kind of have an unlimited canvas to create anything you want. You're constantly chasing the new thing. You're constantly finding the new way to do it. From a nonprofit standpoint, you're constantly finding a new service that you could make available to the public to help a new population of people, or a new fundraising opportunity, or a new this or a new that. You can really get yourself in deep water because what happens is you stop watering your core offering with attention. You stop feeding it attention, and then something falls out of sync or falls into disrepair with your core offering, and you don't have the bandwidth to circle back and fix your core offering. And if your core offering falls, the whole business falls. So spend some time with the main thing that you're working on and fight the urge to constantly be doing something new. That is not easy to do. I'm going to be honest with you, but it's so important for you as a business owner. It's so important for you as somebody who has launched a nonprofit. You have to stay on topic with what you're doing. You need to refine your processes and make them bulletproof, make the delivery seamless, as efficient as possible, and really focus on it. Because the early success, you can get bored really quick with it, and you feel like you've conquered everything there is to know about that original product, but you haven't even scratched the surface on what your delivery is and how to make it the absolute best that it can possibly be. So that's where victory can defeat you. Don't get caught up in it, y'all. My name is Brian. I am a small business consultant. I'm about to log off here. I got about 7 minutes here. I'm going to stick around for the next 7 minutes. If anybody has any business questions or marketing questions, go ahead and shoot them. Drop them in the inbox. I'm going to talk about our Unstuck session again for those that haven't seen it the first time, and pretty much make a pitch for my Unstuck sessions. The Unstuck sessions are a series of meetings that are designed to laser focus on a specific sticking point that you're having with your product or service or business or nonprofit. and allows us to dedicate focused time to it. One of the big trap doors that business owners fall into is you have a litany of problems. You have a grocery list of problems. You try to solve all those problems at the same time. And none of those problems get solved adequately because you have to spread your focus around too many different points. If this describes you, maybe you need to try an unstuck session where we figure out what your sticking points are and figure out solutions to those sticking points, and we take it one point at a time, one meeting, one topic. It's something that's worked for us. It's something that allowed us to scale up our business to the point where we have a recording studio and a separate office set aside. Um, Really laser focusing on what you want to offer is a fast way to alleviate your problems in your business. You pick your biggest battle, you fight that, you win that, and the other battles don't seem as big or as daunting. And you kind of get the blueprint for solving your own problems by blowing up and solving that major problem. So the Unstuck sessions are designed to get you unstuck and moving forward with a laser focused approach on one specific problem or hang up that your business is encountering. We call them sticking points. One sticking point, one point of friction that you can't navigate or that you need some help navigating around. Um, we've been testing beta clients. We've had that link out there. We're going to be closing that link this evening for the beta clients because we're full for the most part. And then we're going to roll the link, the official link for the Unstuck sessions next week and start taking clients and booking for April and May. Get in. We're going to, the initial price point isn't going to be the price point forever. So I'm just putting that bug in your ear. If this is something that sounds like you'd be interested in, get in when we post that link. I'll probably have another live stream up to announce the launch of it sometime next week, possibly next Tuesday. And we can get started from there. But that's what the Unstuck session is. It's really designed to get you past your sticking point and get you moving forward. If you have any questions about it, I can be reached via email at mail@isellwords.net or inbox me if you're one of my Facebook friends, and we could sit down and absolutely talk about what your Unstuck session would look like for you. So I'm going to stick around if anybody has any questions or anything. I don't have any viewers right now, so this is probably a benefit. But again, it is what it is. Consistency is key with these things. It may not always turn out the way you want it the first time, but as long as you stick with it, you'll see good outcomes. I do have a podcast coming up, the designer versus the interview, the designer versus the marketer for websites. And we're going to get into it about what business owners need to know about getting a website, all the way down to, do you even need a website for your business to start out with? Where are you at? And so we're going to be having that conversation on Friday. I need to talk to Les and see if he wants to do a live stream or if he wants to do a podcast. So we'll figure that piece out, That's all I got for right now. I hear my son coming in the front door. He just got back from running a basketball game. How'd the game go, son?
I got hit in the face.
Oh, are you okay?
Yes.
All right. So anyway, I need to go up and check on my son. He just had a basketball. He just got back from a pickup game. So that's all I got. I'm Brian with I Sell Words. If don't make dollars, don't make sense. Be on the lookout for the next Unstuck sessions. I'll probably be having more of those coming up in the upcoming weeks, but the next live stream is probably going to be the launch of the Unstuck sessions officially. So I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.